The stars had once belonged to humanity. Ships sailed between planets, colonies flourished, and humans believed they were the masters of the galaxy. But power has its cost, and the Kirin Dominion, a coalition of advanced alien civilizations, had been watching. They had tolerated human expansion for decades, but humanity's greed had finally crossed the line. On the surface of Earth's once bustling capital, the sky burned with a strange orange light. Alien fleets hung in orbit, their ships massive and silent, their presence suffocating. People on the ground stopped and stared, fear filling their hearts. Governments tried to respond, but human fleets were no match for the Dominion. Cities went dark as power grids failed, and panic spread like wildfire. Captain Ronan stood on the bridge of the last surviving human flagship. His hands gripped the control console as alarms rang around him. He was calm, though inside, his chest tightened. He had seen war before, but never like this. He watched as his home planet and nearby colonies fell one by one. Communication channels were filled with cries for help, but no one could respond. The Dominion's might was too great. "We can't fight them all," said Lieutenant Jara, her voice trembling. "They are too strong. If we stay, we'll be destroyed." Ronan shook his head. "We may not survive, but we cannot give up our people. We have to try something." But there was nothing left to try. Within hours, the human fleets were defeated, either destroyed or forced to retreat to the far edges of space. The Dominion's leaders appeared in a holographic message, their forms alien and imposing. They spoke with cold authority. "Humans," their leader said, voice deep and echoing. "Your kind has grown too reckless. Your expansion threatens the balance of the galaxy. You are hereby exiled from these territories. All planets under your control will be reclaimed. Any resistance will be met with destruction." The message ended, and the hologram vanished. Silence filled the bridge. No one moved. Humanity had been judged, and the sentence was severe. Ronan's mind raced. Banishment was one thing, but total defeat was another. Families had been separated, colonies destroyed, and the dreams of centuries crushed in a single moment. Yet even in this despair, a spark of defiance remained. Humans were not creatures who could accept slavery or total submission. Somewhere, in the shadows of their lost worlds, they would fight back. On a remote orbital station, hidden from the Dominion's sensors, engineers and scientists worked quietly. They had anticipated this day for years. Among them was Mara, a young prodigy whose grandfather had once served under Ronan. She studied the ancient blueprints of a colossal ship, a dreadnought unlike any other ever built. The ship had been designed in secret, a project meant to survive even the most devastating attacks. Its hull was layered with experimental alloys, its engines capable of unmatched speed, and its weapons systems far beyond anything currently in the galaxy. The ship had been named Vanguard, and its purpose was clear: humanity would not go quietly into exile. Mara walked among the engineers, her eyes bright with determination. "We cannot let them think humanity is weak," she said. "If we hide and wait, we are already defeated. But if we awaken Vanguard, if we strike back at the Dominion, we can change our fate." The engineers exchanged nervous glances. The task was enormous. The ship had been dormant for decades, and its systems were old and fragile. One mistake could destroy the entire station. Yet there was no other choice. Humanity had lost planets, fleets, and resources, but they had not lost courage, ingenuity, or the will to survive. Ronan watched from a distance, knowing that the legacy of humanity rested in the hands of the young. He remembered the pride of human exploration, the joy of discovering new worlds, and the strength of people working together in the face of impossible odds. Now, that spirit would be tested like never before. As Mara activated the first systems of Vanguard, lights flickered across the hull, and the hum of dormant engines filled the chamber. It was more than a machine, it was a symbol of hope. A single ship, hidden from the Dominion, could change everything. For the first time in decades, humans dared to dream again. Though banished, though defeated, they were not broken. Somewhere among the stars, the fight for humanity's return had begun. And in the quiet hum of Vanguard's awakening, the galaxy did not yet know that the exiled would rise again, stronger, smarter, and unyielding. Humanity's banishment had begun, but it would not end without resistance. Years had passed since humanity's fleets were shattered and their colonies scattered. The Kirin Dominion ruled the known galaxy with an iron grip, believing humans were defeated, weak, and broken. But on the edge of a distant solar system, hidden behind a field of asteroids, the dormant Dreadnought Vanguard waited. Mara walked along the corridors of the orbital station, her steps echoing in the quiet. She had spent months studying the ship's systems, learning every detail of its engines, weapons, and defenses. Every panel she touched brought the vessel closer to life. Her heart raced as she imagined humanity's first strike in decades. This was their chance to show that humans would not bow to the Dominion. "Power systems are stable," said Engineer Lien, his hands moving quickly over a control console. "We can begin warming the engines, but we need to monitor the core. One misstep and it could overload." Mara nodded. "We have no room for mistakes. The Dominion cannot know we are here. If they detect us before we are ready, it will all be over." The team worked in silence, tension thick in the air. The decades of neglect had left the station and the ship in fragile condition. Corrosion had eaten parts of the hull, circuits needed rewiring, and the AI that controlled the ship had to be reactivated carefully. Every small success was celebrated quietly, as if even a cheer might bring disaster. Finally, the moment came to awaken Vanguard's main systems. Lights flickered along the hull, and a low hum filled the station. The AI interface activated, its calm, steady voice filling the room. "Systems online. Diagnostic complete. All functions operational," the AI said. Its voice carried authority and knowledge, a testament to the minds that had designed it decades ago. Mara felt a surge of hope. "Good. Begin powering the weapons and shields. We need to be ready for anything." As the systems came online, the crew began simulations of possible battles. They ran scenarios where Vanguard would face Dominion fleets, testing strategies and calculating outcomes. Mara noticed that the AI learned quickly, adjusting predictions based on their input. It was not just a machine, it was a partner, capable of helping humans outsmart enemies far stronger than themselves. Days turned into nights, though on the station, time felt different. Every second was filled with preparation. Mara trained the crew in combat procedures, made sure engineers could handle emergencies, and oversaw simulations. They worked tirelessly, united by a single goal, to prove humanity was not finished. Then came the first test. A small Dominion scouting ship drifted near the system, scanning for signs of human activity. Mara saw it on the monitor, its lights cutting through the darkness of space. She ordered the crew to hide Vanguard using stealth protocols. The ship passed without detecting the Dreadnought. Mara exhaled, relief washing over her. This was their first victory, small but significant. The Dominion believed humans were scattered and weak. They had no idea that the first step toward revenge had already begun. Over the following weeks, Mara explored every corner of Vanguard. She marveled at its design, how every weapon, engine, and sensor had been built to survive attacks far beyond human expectations. She realized that humanity had once dreamed boldly, and this ship was proof of that daring spirit. One evening, Mara stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The solar system around them was silent, distant, and empty. Yet she felt a pulse of determination. Vanguard was not just a weapon, it was a promise. A promise that humans would rise again, no matter the cost. Engineer Lian joined her, leaning against the railing. "Do you really think one ship can make a difference?" he asked quietly. Mara smiled, her eyes fixed on the darkness beyond. It is not just the ship. It is us. Humanity has survived worse than this. We have been pushed to the edge, but we are not broken. Vanguard is the start. One strike, one victory, can change everything. The AI spoke again, interrupting the moment. Recommendation: mission parameters require offensive testing. Probability of success is high if initial engagement is strategic. Mara nodded. Then we will prepare. Soon, we will strike. Humanity's voice will be heard again. The Dominion will learn that we are not gone. We are here, and we will fight. As the days passed, Vanguard became more than a hidden ship. It became a symbol of hope for scattered human colonies, a secret beacon for those who had not yet given up. Messages were sent quietly, hidden among regular communication channels, telling humans that a force was rising to defend them. Somewhere in the darkness of space, the Dominion scouted and watched, unaware that a single dreadnought was coming to challenge their rule. Mara and her crew worked tirelessly, every step bringing humanity closer to the day when they would no longer be exiles, when their revenge would begin, and when the stars would remember that humans were never weak. The awakening of Vanguard was complete. The stage was set. Humanity's fight was about to begin. Vanguard floated silently in the hidden sector, its massive hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside, Mara and her crew prepared for their first offensive mission. For decades, humanity had been on the run, hiding from the Kirin Dominion, but today that would change. Today, humans would strike back. Status report, Mara said, standing on the bridge. Her eyes scanned the monitors, every sensor reading, every crew member alert. Engineer Lian nodded. Weapons online, shields at full capacity. Engines ready for maximum speed. All systems operational. Good, Mara replied. Her voice was steady, but inside, her heart raced. This mission would test everything: Vanguard's technology, their training, and their courage. Lieutenant Kara, plot the course to the Dominion convoy. Remember, this is a test, but we must be precise. We cannot afford mistakes. The convoy was smaller than a full fleet, but heavily armed. It carried supplies, fuel, and critical equipment to the Dominion's frontier stations. Destroying it would send a message: humanity had returned, and it would not be ignored. Vanguard accelerated, slipping through the shadows of space. The Dreadnought stealth systems worked perfectly, making it invisible to the Dominion's scanners. Mara watched the approaching convoy, the tension in the bridge almost unbearable. Distance 4,000 kilometers, Lieutenant Kara reported. Convoy unaware of our presence. Mara nodded. Prepare weapons. Fire only on my mark. The first strike was sudden. Plasma cannons unleashed a storm of energy, cutting through the convoy's lead ships. Explosions lit the darkness of space as the Dominion vessels scrambled to respond. Mara's crew worked flawlessly, guided by Vanguard's AI, which calculated every trajectory, every evasive maneuver. The Dominion ships tried to regroup, but they were unprepared for a single dreadnought with human ingenuity at the helm. Missiles were intercepted, engines disabled, and communication arrays destroyed. Mara felt a surge of pride as each maneuver succeeded. Humanity had not lost its courage or skill. Shields holding, Engineer Lian said. They are adapting, but our tactics are working. Good, Mara replied. Keep the pressure. Do not let them escape. The battle continued, fast and precise. Mara directed Vanguard like a chess master, predicting the Dominion's moves and striking with deadly accuracy. The convoy's defenses were strong, but nothing matched the combination of human strategy and Vanguard's power. One by one, the Dominion ships were disabled or destroyed. As the last ship of the convoy broke apart in a massive explosion, Mara allowed herself a small smile. It was more than a victory, it was a declaration. Humanity had returned. The Dominion had underestimated them for decades, but that mistake would not be repeated. The crew cheered quietly, careful not to break the discipline of the mission. Mara's eyes, however, were on the distance. They knew this was only the beginning. The Dominion would retaliate, sending larger fleets and more powerful ships. Vanguard was strong, but one ship alone could not defeat an entire empire. Course plotted for return to the station, Lieutenant Kara reported. No pursuit detected. Good, Mara said. We cannot risk being caught before we are ready. Report all damage and begin repairs immediately. As the crew worked, Mara reflected on what they had accomplished. A single strike, precise and powerful, had shifted the balance slightly. Humans had shown that they could fight, that they could resist, and that they could strike fear into an empire that had thought them defeated. The AI spoke again, calm and measured. Recommendation: continue offensive training and simulations. Probability of future engagements is high. Tactical adjustments will increase efficiency and success. Mara nodded. We will. Today is a victory, but it is only the first step. We must prepare for what comes next. In hidden colonies across distant star systems, humans received coded messages about Vanguard's success. Hope spread like wildfire. For decades, they had lived in fear and isolation, believing they were forgotten. Now they knew that humanity had not vanished, that the spirit of their ancestors still burned brightly, and that a force was rising to defend them. Meanwhile, the Dominion reeled from the unexpected attack. Leaders convened in their massive command stations, furious and confused. How could a single ship inflict such damage? They underestimated humans, assuming they were weak and disorganized. That assumption would soon prove costly. Back aboard Vanguard, Mara watched the stars pass by as they returned to the hidden station. The Dreadnought had proven its worth, but the mission had also revealed the challenges ahead. The Dominion would respond with greater force, and humanity needed more than courage. They needed unity, strategy, and allies among scattered colonies. Today, we fought, Mara said quietly to herself. Tomorrow, we build. And one day, the Dominion will know that humans are never to be underestimated. The first strike was over, but the war for humanity's future had only just begun. Vanguard, the Dreadnought born from hope and defiance, had awakened. And so had the courage of every human willing to fight for their place among the stars. After the first strike, the Kirin Dominion realized that humans were no longer helpless. The destruction of their convoy had sent shockwaves through their command, and fleets were dispatched to locate and destroy Vanguard. Mara and her crew knew the danger was growing. One ship alone could not withstand the full force of the Dominion, no matter how powerful. Strategy and caution were their only allies. Vanguard moved silently through the outer regions of the solar system. Mara studied the star charts, seeking areas where the Dominion's sensors were weakest. Nebulae, asteroid fields, and uncharted sectors became their hiding places. The Dreadnought stealth systems allowed them to remain undetected, but Mara knew it was only a matter of time before the Dominion would begin tracking their movements. Scans show 3 Dominion fleets in adjacent sectors, Lieutenant Kara reported. They are searching systematically. Probability of detection increases if we remain in one area too long. Mara nodded. Then we keep moving. We cannot fight them head-on. Our strength is in surprise and cunning. The crew worked tirelessly, running simulations and preparing for every possible encounter. Vanguard's AI was a constant companion, analyzing data, predicting enemy maneuvers, and suggesting strategies. Mara trusted its calculations completely. As they navigated a dense asteroid field, the sensors picked up a Dominion scout ship attempting to intercept them. Mara ordered the crew to take evasive maneuvers. Vanguard twisted and turned between massive rocks, its engines thrumming with controlled power. The scout fired, but the Dreadnought's shields absorbed the blasts, and Mara used the ship's superior speed to escape. Damage report: Mara demanded. Minor hull impact. All systems operational, Engineer Lian said. We were lucky this time. Mara's expression was calm, but inside, she felt a pulse of urgency. Every encounter, no matter how small, reminded her that the Dominion would not rest. Humans had survived by hiding for decades, but now, survival required action as well as caution. To stay ahead, Mara began planning small strikes. They targeted supply lines, communication hubs, and isolated stations. Each mission was calculated to cause disruption without exposing Vanguard to overwhelming forces. Mara's goal was clear: show humanity's strength and slow the Dominion's advance without risking the ship. One night, as the crew rested, Mara studied the galaxy map, tracing the Dominion fleet's movements. The patterns were predictable in some areas, but in others, the enemy adapted quickly. Mara realized that the Dominion had underestimated human intelligence. They assumed humans would flee, but now, humans were fighting back. "Captain," Lieutenant Kara said, approaching the observation deck. "The Dominion is closing in on the outer rim. If we do not act, they will corner us." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Then we do not wait. We lead them into traps. Use the terrain, the asteroid fields, and our speed. We may be one ship, but we can outthink them." The crew began to prepare ambushes. Vanguard would appear in unexpected locations, strike quickly, and vanish before the Dominion could respond. Mara's tactics relied not on brute force alone but on human ingenuity. Each victory would be small, but each would chip away at the Dominion's confidence. Days turned into weeks. Vanguard struck again and again, disrupting Dominion supply lines and communications. Every success inspired humans across distant colonies. Messages of hope traveled through secret channels, encouraging those who had believed they were abandoned. Humans were scattered, but their spirit was alive, and Vanguard became a symbol of resistance. The Dominion, frustrated by the elusive ship, sent a fleet to the outer rim to trap Vanguard. Mara anticipated this move. She prepared an ambush, using the dense asteroid belt as cover. When the Dominion fleet entered the field, Vanguard struck from hidden positions, disabling engines and communication arrays. The fleet was forced to retreat, humiliated by a single human ship. In the aftermath, the crew celebrated quietly. They were exhausted but triumphant. Mara looked at them and spoke with quiet determination. "This is just the beginning. We are not invincible, but we are clever, and we are brave. Humanity has survived worse than this. We will continue to fight, and we will continue to show the Dominion that we are not to be underestimated." The AI spoke in its calm voice. "Analysis indicates that future engagements will require adaptive strategies. Human ingenuity, combined with Vanguard systems, increases the probability of success significantly." Mara nodded. "Then we keep learning, keep striking, and keep moving. The Dominion may have numbers, but we have courage and skill. That is something they cannot predict." As Vanguard drifted into the darkness of space, hidden among the stars, Mara felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had been hunted, exiled, and dismissed, but it was not finished. The hunt had begun, but humans were no longer the prey. They were a force rising from the shadows, guided by intelligence, determination, and the will to reclaim their place in the galaxy. The Dominion had sent their fleets to find Vanguard, but Mara knew the Dreadnought would remain a ghost in the darkness. The hunt had begun, but humans were ready. Every strike, every maneuver, and every victory would teach the Dominion a simple truth: humans never gave up, and humans never forgot. The scattered human colonies had survived decades in the shadows, fearful of Dominion retaliation. Most lived on remote planets with limited resources, constantly moving to avoid detection. The news of Vanguard's first strikes spread quickly through hidden networks. Hope, long dormant, flickered to life. Humans whispered of a dreadnought that had returned to fight, and for the first time in generations, they believed resistance was possible. Mara studied the star charts on Vanguard's bridge. Sensors had detected a Dominion fleet approaching a human colony on the outskirts of the galaxy. The colony was small, poorly defended, and vulnerable. Without intervention, it would be destroyed, and with it, countless innocent lives. "We cannot allow them to attack," Mara said firmly. Her eyes scanned the tactical display. "Prepare Vanguard for immediate departure. We will intercept the fleet before they reach the colony." Lieutenant Kara nodded. "Course plotted, Captain. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. Dominion fleet is larger than what we have faced before." Mara's jaw tightened. One dreadnought against a full fleet was dangerous, but she knew that hesitation would cost lives. "We will use every advantage. Terrain, stealth, and precision. The Dominion underestimates us, and that will be our strength." As Vanguard approached the colony's system, Mara instructed the crew to initiate stealth protocols. The Dreadnought drifted silently through space, hidden from the Dominion's sensors, while the colony's inhabitants remained unaware of the imminent threat. Mara knew that time was critical. Every second counted. The Dominion fleet appeared on the edge of the colony's orbit. Massive ships bristled with weapons, ready to strike. Mara's fingers danced over the control panels, coordinating Vanguard's position with the AI's predictions. "Targeting systems online," the AI announced. "Optimal strike vectors calculated. Probability of success high if engagement is swift and coordinated." "Execute the plan," Mara ordered. Vanguard struck with precision. Energy blasts tore through the Dominion fleet's forward ships, disabling engines and weapon systems. Mara guided the Dreadnought like a master, predicting every counterattack. The Dominion was forced to split its forces, creating confusion in the ranks. "Shields holding," Engineer Lian reported. "Minor damage sustained, nothing critical." "Good," Mara said. "Keep the pressure. We cannot allow them to regroup." The colony below watched in awe as Vanguard's attacks began. For the first time in decades, humans saw a protector in the stars, a symbol of hope and defiance. Families gathered in the central squares, watching the sky. Children pointed at the streaks of energy, and elders whispered stories of humanity's former glory. Despite the fleet's size, Vanguard's tactics worked. Mara directed the ship to exploit weaknesses, striking vulnerable ships and evading counterattacks. The Dominion commander, frustrated by the unexpected resistance, ordered a retreat. Damage reports showed their losses were significant, and the morale of their forces began to falter. "Colony is safe," Lieutenant Kara said, relief evident in her voice. "Dominion fleet is retreating." Mara allowed herself a moment to breathe. This victory is important, but it is also a lesson. One ship alone cannot defeat them permanently. We need unity. We need the scattered human colonies to rise together. Over the following days, Mara sent messages to other colonies, using secure channels and coded transmissions. She encouraged them to prepare defenses, train forces, and coordinate with each other. The idea was simple but powerful: humans, united, could resist the Dominion. The AI spoke, analyzing the outcome. "Probability of future engagements is increased if human colonies cooperate and share intelligence. Strategic alliances will amplify Vanguard's effectiveness." Mara nodded. "Then we build alliances. Each victory strengthens humanity's position, but survival requires more than one dreadnought. It requires courage, strategy, and cooperation." The Dominion, meanwhile, struggled to understand the human resurgence. Their fleets had assumed humans were weak, scattered, and defeated. Vanguard had proven that assumption false. Every small victory inspired rebellion, and colonies that had hidden in fear for decades began to rise, ready to fight for their homes. Mara watched the stars from the observation deck. She thought about the lives they had saved and the hope they had rekindled. The first strike had been important, but this intervention, this protection of human lives, marked a turning point. Humanity was no longer running. They were fighting back. "Captain," Lieutenant Karras said quietly, "humans across the colonies are responding to your messages. They are preparing defenses, recruiting volunteers, and sharing information. Your actions have inspired them." Mara smiled, determination in her eyes. "Then we continue. We cannot stop now. This is only the beginning of humanity's return. Each victory, no matter how small, brings us closer to reclaiming our place in the galaxy." As Vanguard prepared to leave the colony's system, Mara addressed the crew. "We have proven that humans are not defeated. The Dominion underestimated our courage and ingenuity. From this day forward, we fight not only for survival but for the future of our species. Humanity will rise again." The crew cheered, their spirits lifted by the victory. Vanguard sailed into the darkness of space, ready for the battles ahead. Humanity had taken its first real steps toward reclaiming the stars, and the Dominion would soon learn that one dreadnought could inspire 1,000 acts of defiance. The turning point had come. Humanity's courage had returned, and with it, a chance to change the course of the galaxy. The Kirin Dominion had grown furious. Vanguard's strikes had humiliated them, destroyed fleets, and inspired humans across scattered colonies. They would no longer tolerate defiance. Mara knew the final battle was coming. The Dominion had gathered its largest fleet, combining multiple sectors into a single force. This was not a test. It was an attempt to end humanity forever. On Vanguard's bridge, Mara stood with her crew, studying the enemy fleet's movements. The ships were vast and numerous, bristling with weapons and advanced shields. Even with Vanguard's power, the odds were overwhelming. "Captain," Lieutenant Karras said, pointing to the tactical display. "We cannot face them head-on. Their fleet exceeds our strength by hundreds of ships." Mara's expression was calm, but her mind worked quickly. "Then we will not face them head-on. We will strike smart, use terrain and strategy. The Dominion expects humans to flee, but we will show them we are not afraid. Engineer and check the Dreadnought systems. Weapons and shields are ready. Engines can handle maximum maneuvers. Vanguard is prepared." Mara nodded. "Good. Begin simulations and coordinate with human colonies. We need reinforcements, even if small. Every ship, every resource counts." The crew worked tirelessly, running battle scenarios and perfecting strategies. Vanguard would be the spearhead, striking first to create confusion and weaken the Dominion's cohesion. Mara knew this battle would test human ingenuity, courage, and determination like never before. The moment arrived. Vanguard slipped through an asteroid belt, invisible to the Dominion's sensors. Mara's heart raced as she guided the Dreadnought into position. From there, they would strike the enemy command ship, the heart of the fleet. Destroy it, and the Dominion might retreat. "Stealth mode disengage in 3, 2, 1, Mara commanded. Energy beams lit the darkness of space. Vanguard's weapons struck with precise timing, disabling key ships and forcing the Dominion fleet into disarray. Mara directed the attacks, anticipating enemy maneuvers and countering them instantly. The Dominion was shocked by the speed and accuracy of the human Dreadnought. "Shields holding," Engineer Lian reported. "Minimal damage sustained. Tactical advantage achieved." Mara focused on the command ship. "Lieutenant Kara, target the flagship. Everything we have, concentrate on that ship." Vanguard unleashed a torrent of firepower. Plasma cannons, guided missiles, and energy beams tore through the flagship's defenses. The AI calculated trajectories, firing at weak points with deadly precision. Mara watched the enemy commander struggle to maintain control. The Dominion fleet tried to respond, but Vanguard moved faster than expected. The Dreadnought's engines allowed sharp maneuvers, avoiding the heaviest attacks while keeping up a continuous offensive. One by one, enemy ships fell or retreated, unable to match the combination of human skill and technology. "Captain," Lieutenant Kara said, excitement in her voice, "the command ship's shields are down. Systems failing. They are losing control." Mara's eyes were steady. "Prepare final strike. We end this now." The crew followed her orders, coordinating a precise assault. Energy beams struck the command ship's core. A massive explosion erupted, shaking the surrounding fleet. The Dominion's forces, leaderless and confused, began a chaotic retreat. "Damage report," Mara demanded. "Vanguard sustained minor hull breaches. Weapons fully operational. Enemy fleet in retreat," Engineer Lien replied. Mara allowed herself a small smile. Victory was theirs, but she knew the war was not over. This battle had shown the Dominion that humans were not weak, but humanity needed to remain vigilant. Across the galaxy, human colonies cheered as the news spread. Messages of hope and solidarity flowed between systems. Vanguard had led them to victory, but the true triumph was the courage it inspired. Humans who had once hidden in fear now saw a future where they could stand together and fight. The AI spoke calmly, analyzing the battle. Probability of long-term human survival significantly increased. Coordination among colonies and utilization of Vanguard as central command amplifies strategic advantage. Mara nodded. "Then we continue. We cannot stop now. Humanity has learned that we can survive, resist, and reclaim our place in the galaxy. This victory is proof that we are capable, and it will inspire the next generation." As Vanguard moved through space, its crew began repairs and system checks. Each member knew the Dreadnought had carried them through the most dangerous battle in human history. The ship had survived against overwhelming odds, guided by strategy, courage, and human ingenuity. Mara looked at the stars ahead, thinking of all the colonies they would help rebuild. "This is more than a ship," she said quietly. "Vanguard is a symbol of our strength, our unity, and our refusal to be defeated. Humanity has risen from exile, and we will continue to rise." The Dominion fleet had been defeated, and humanity had proven its resilience. Vanguard had survived, and so had the spirit of every human willing to fight for their future. The final confrontation was over, but the journey for rebuilding and uniting humanity had only begun. Mara stood on the observation deck, watching the stars stretch endlessly before her. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been reclaimed, but it was also a reminder: courage, intelligence, and unity would always be needed to protect what they had fought so hard to regain. Vanguard was ready, and so was humanity. The final confrontation had shown the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. Their banishment had been broken, their spirit restored, and their future secured. The final battle had ended, and the remnants of the Kirin Dominion fleet retreated into the depths of space. Vanguard floated among the stars, its hull scarred but intact. Mara stood on the bridge, watching the distant glimmers of planets she and her crew had helped protect. The fight had been long and dangerous, but humanity had survived and begun to reclaim its place in the galaxy. Around them, human colonies that had once hidden in fear were now united. Messages flowed freely between worlds, sharing resources, intelligence, and plans for rebuilding. The Dreadnought Vanguard had become more than a ship, it was a symbol of hope, courage, and determination. Wherever it traveled, humans found strength in its presence. "Captain," Lieutenant Kara said, breaking the silence. "The colonies are reporting rapid progress. Infrastructure is being restored, defense forces are forming, and morale has never been higher. Your leadership has inspired humanity across the stars." Mara nodded, feeling both pride and humility. "This victory belongs to everyone. The crew, the colonies, every human who refused to give up. Vanguard is only a part of it. The true strength is in our people." Engineer Lien walked up beside her, wiping soot from his hands. "It is incredible how far we have come. From exile and fear to standing tall against the Dominion. I never imagined we could achieve this. Mara smiled. We achieved it because we refused to accept defeat. Because humans are more than ships or weapons. We are clever, courageous, and united. That is why we survived. That is why we will continue to thrive. In the command room, the AI monitored systems and communication networks. Its calm voice filled the space. Analysis indicates that the Dominion's immediate response is unlikely. Human colonies are stabilizing. Probability of long-term survival and expansion is high if current cooperation continues. Good, Mara said. Then we focus on building a future. We cannot let fear rule us again. We must plan, explore, and strengthen our alliances. Humanity's journey is only beginning. Across the galaxy, humans celebrated quietly and openly. On planets that had once been abandoned, cities were rebuilt, farms restored, and schools reopened. Children laughed under bright skies, unaware of the horrors that had come before, yet benefiting from the courage of those who had fought to secure their freedom. In space, Vanguard traveled from system to system, helping colonies establish communication networks and training defense forces. Mara oversaw every operation, ensuring humans could stand on their own. The Dreadnought, once a secret weapon, had become a mentor and protector, teaching humans how to fight, survive, and work together. One evening, Mara stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars stretching endlessly before her. She thought about the years of exile, the losses, the fear, and the victories. Humanity had faced nearly impossible odds and emerged stronger. The galaxy had once banished them, but now it recognized their strength, courage, and ingenuity. "Captain," Lieutenant Karras said softly. "Do you think the Dominion will return?" Mara's eyes did not leave the stars. "Perhaps. They may test us again. But we will be ready. Humanity has learned its lessons. We will not be caught by surprise, and we will never give up. The galaxy has seen what humans can do when they refuse to accept defeat." Below, engineers worked on the Dreadnought systems, preparing for new missions. Ships were being built, colonies fortified, and humans trained to defend themselves. Vanguard had sparked a transformation, turning fear into courage and isolation into unity. Mara spoke to the crew, her voice steady and inspiring. "We have faced exile, destruction, and impossible odds. Yet here we are. Vanguard has proven that one act of courage can change everything. But our true strength lies in humanity itself. We will continue to explore, to defend, and to grow. This is our new era. A time when humans no longer hide, but rise among the stars." The crew cheered, but Mara knew that the journey was far from over. Humanity's survival depended on vigilance, courage, and unity. The Dreadnought had done its part, but humans would continue to forge their destiny. Each planet reclaimed, each colony rebuilt, and each victory won was a step toward a galaxy where humans were respected, feared when necessary, and celebrated for their ingenuity. Vanguard sailed into the darkness of space, carrying Mara and her crew toward the future. Each system they visited became stronger, each colony more united. The galaxy had witnessed the return of humanity, a species once banished but now thriving, full of courage, wisdom, and hope. For the first time in generations, humans looked up at the stars with pride, knowing they had reclaimed their place. Humanity's banishment had been broken not by numbers alone, but by courage, strategy, and the refusal to accept defeat. A new era had begun, and the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter for those who had fought to reach them. Mara stood on the observation deck, her eyes bright with determination. Humanity had survived, and it would continue to grow, explore, and inspire. Vanguard, the Dreadnought born of hope and defiance, had led them through the darkness. Now, humanity's future was theirs to shape. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans were not weak. Humans were not defeated. Humans were unstoppable when they chose to rise.